Helping mature eyes. Schedule your complete eye exam at Optical Fashions, just off Highway 16, with Dr. Wadig, Dr. Fisher, Dr. Garbrecht, or Dr. Mergenthaler.
7:50, it's 10 before 8 on the Crosstalk on WIZM. Our guest this morning, UWL political scientist, Dr. Joe Heim. Hey, good morning. Thanks for talking with us.
Morning, Mike.
I got a great big 2.5-page email from someone who heard a brief conversation yesterday that I had with regard to this convention of states and whether or not it could go off the rails. And I'll just share you the two things. There are no, great big letters, no risk of getting off the rails. And it ends with, the Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution were written in common English, so even the illiterates could understand the rights when they're read to them. And so clearly there are some angry people out there who say my interpretation is the correct interpretation, and if you interpret it differently, you're illiterate, you're an idiot, you're an imbecile, you shouldn't go to the convention. Is that one of the reasons why so many people are concerned that when we get politicians together that are going to, quote, only look at a federal balanced budget amendment? They'll look at all kinds of amendments. They'll take them back to their states, and the Constitution of the United States could be changed.
Yeah, that's one of the concerns that we have. You know, we've had 27 amendments to the Constitution over 200-some years. And by the way, the first 10, the Bill of Rights, were done almost immediately. So we've had essentially 17. So it's not easy to do this. Very difficult to... And by the way, since 1787, we've never had another constitutional...
I was just about to say, hasn't it been 150, 200 years since we've only had one? Yeah. Way back at the beginning. I am, personally, it scares me that we would put in the hands of politicians even more opportunity to shape our future. You know,
it's really not clear that you could limit a constitutional convention to just one particular topic.
So they would gather to deal with the federal balanced budget, and someone would say, hey, while we're all here, why don't we look at something else? Let's look at pollution and abortion and gun rights and, you know, whatever else.
Oh, yeah. I think that the first constitutional convention actually was intended to simply alter the Articles of Confederation. That was our first constitution in the United States. The fact is they went way overboard and wrote an entirely new constitution, which, by the way, we've had for more than 200 years, so obviously it's worked pretty well. But in this particular case, once that convention gets together, at least history says, and the courts would have to decide this, maybe they don't like free speech amendment, or maybe they don't like the First Amendment dealing with free press. You know, that press, you can't count on those people.
Oh, yeah, fake news.
Or maybe you don't like gun rights. Let's take the gun rights out of the Constitution. So, I mean, I think you're opening a door here which you don't really know where it's going to go.
Yeah, money is politics. There's another one. Or money is free speech. That's
the third one, the balanced budget amendment, really has to do with, I mean, in general, by the way, the public supports balanced budget amendment. I saw a poll indicating that about 80% support it. So it's very popular.
Everybody. I can't imagine that there are very many people who would say, no, I don't think we should have a balanced budget. I don't believe any politician when they say, yeah, vote for me, and I will ensure, because in 200 years it's just gone the other direction. All right, we've got a caller on with a question, Dr. Heim. Stand by here for a second. Good morning. You're on with Dr. Joe Heim.
Hey, good morning, Professor.
Morning.
I've been studying the Article 5 of the Constitution where it talks about the Convention of States, and I think a lot of the hyperbole about how dangerous this could be is really uncalled for. As it says here, it takes 2/3 of the states to even call for the Convention of States. And then, as you said, amendments could be proposed and discussed in that convention. However, in order to ratify them and actually make them part of the Constitution, it would have to go back to 3/4 of the states would have to ratify them in order for them to become part of the Constitution. So if somebody was really stupid and tried to get rid of the First Amendment in the Convention of States, it would never pass 3/4 of the states.
All right, here's my question to you, caller. If it is as you suggest, or as you point out, I know you're correct, that it would be very difficult, then why bother?
Well, I think you bother because there are like two sides of the country right now, I believe. You've got people who actually believe the Constitution as it was written, and you've got the other 50% who believe the Constitution should be whatever a judge feels like it should be. And so I think a convention of states gets the whole country together to talk through some of the differences that we've been experiencing over the last several decades.
Do you think, and then I appreciate that, I want to ask you, caller, one more question. Do you think that anything could be written that would disallow any conversation by judges, by other politicians, that after this is written, it will be interpreted this way and only this way forever?
No, I don't think that would happen. But what I do think some of the proposals that I've seen as far as possible amendments to consider would be things like a term limit on judges, so that instead of a lifetime appointment, they recycle them a little bit more often.
Sure. Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks very much for calling and contributing to the conversation. Joe, does it take a constitutional convention to, for instance, add term limits to judges?
Well, you certainly could do that.
Well, I mean, is that what it takes? If you wanted judges to have term limits, do we have to have a constitutional convention to make that happen?
Federal, yes.
Okay.
States, no.
All right, so for federal judges, yeah.
All right. Federal judges, it's a constitutional thing that they have lifetime appointments.
Dare I even say, maybe there would be some reasons to convene a constitutional convention?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Maybe there is. I can't imagine that there are very many people across this country who, for instance, would think that term limits for not just judges, but, gosh, for everybody should be in place. Nobody should have a lifetime appointment to a political position.
Yeah, well, the part of the advantages of that is that once you're a federal judge, you can make decisions based on what you think is right, or what you think the Constitution says, whether you agree or disagree.
Right.
With it.
Well,
you don't have to bear the consequences politically of that, whether that's good or bad. We've always kept the federal courts immune and separate from politics. And frankly, I kind of like it that way.
Yeah. As the term limits for all kinds of politicians might be a good thing, or a constitutional amendment that says if you pass a law, Congress, you have to live by the same law.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that could be in this.
Yeah, you're going to give us health care? Please show on TV where you signed up for that same health care.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. This is an unknown area, Mike.
Oh, sure.
And I agree with the caller, by the way, that this would have to pass 3/4 of the states regardless. And would 3/4 of the states be crazy enough to say we're going to put limits on gun laws? I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's some qualifications in there which would protect the public from this, but it's really, in a sense, the last constitutional change that was the big one was called the Equal Rights Amendment. The states which included 90% of the public voted for this particular amendment, but it still fell short of the 3/4.
Of 3/4, yeah.
So the small states, the low-populated states, really have a lot of role to play in this.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I found the conversation with you and with callers, with a couple of emailers really interesting. How to move this country forward based on everybody's opinion, not just your opinion. Whoever you happen to be, that's what's at issue here, I guess. We'll continue to talk about. The thing that cracks me up is that somehow a balanced budget is more important to people than gun rights or abortion or some of the other issues that are out there. Balanced budget? You don't really think a politician wants his budget balanced, do you? All right, gotta go. Hug your kids, then hit the road. 7:59.
If you don't want it heard, don't let it happen.
Yeah.
This is WIZM News.
And the burgers are
WIZM is News Talk 1410 AM, 92.3 FM.
CBS News is next at 8 o'clock on WIZM. They're talking about the Russian discussion in Washington. Then on WIZM News, Badger Care gets a push from Ron Kind.
WIZM La Crosse, News Talk 1410 AM.